Hello, and welcome to another episode of Just and Joyful with Kristen Carver Smith. I'm your host, Kristen Carver Smith, or KCS, as most folks call me these days. I am so excited to have Sara Stanizai here with us today. I mean, look at this face. Look at this face. Look at this face. So, Sara is a licensed marriage and family therapist. I told y'all we were going to have the experts on, and Sara is the expert. Sara,
we're coming in hot.
Absolutely. Like a million degrees. So, Sara is the founder of Prospect Therapy, a queer and trans affirming practice that focuses specifically on serving first generation American and immigrant communities, which feels extra important right now, Sara. Like, so many things that we could say about that, but let me continue on. As a queer and Afghan American herself, her clinical and professional work focuses on serving her communities through therapy, through coaching, group experiences. And Sara, you do a lot of work with couples, right?
I love working with couples. Some people hate it. I am here for it.
Well, we're so glad that you do that work. It's such important work. And I know that you also have such a special place in your heart for eldest daughters, a trait that you and I both share. And I know that we both have a special place in our heart for the people who love us, who love the eldest daughters. So we know that we are not the easiest. We are not the easiest.
You know what? We do make it very easy. We make everything very easy for other people if they would just do exactly what we say.
You're going to have me spit my water out. If those are the rules. If.
Yes. There's so much reward. But yes, it does take, we think we make things easy for everyone except ourselves. And then when we find out that's not the case, we are like, I mean, it depends on how much therapy you've had, but some of us are like, yeah, okay, I realize. By working so hard to make it easy for you, I'm actually overcomplicating things. Let me back off a little bit. But some people are not ready to hear that. So it's a journey. It's a process.
It's okay. It's a spectrum. The eldest daughter journey is a spectrum. So Sara, how did you even get involved, start working in this field? Have you known forever and ever, I want to be a therapist? I want to do this work. What's that look like for you?
I did not know forever and ever. I have been a licensed therapist since 2017, but I've been practicing therapy since 2012, which sounds like 100 years ago now. But before that, originally I had wanted to work in museums. My undergrad was in art history and Latin. So I often win the most useless undergraduate degree award, or the has the least to do with your current job.
Current field.
I would do it again exactly that way though, if I could. So that was originally what I wanted to go into, and I started doing that work, and it was just not. It was very isolating. It was very hierarchical. It was just all this game and politics. And I was like, oh, okay, this isn't what I thought it was. I ended up working in marketing for a few years.
Wait, I didn't know this about you.
Oh, yeah, I did. I mean, I worked at a very small marketing agency here in LA. As is the case with most of my jobs, I just kind of worked you get in the door and then they're like, oh my gosh, can you do all this other, you're smart. Can you please help us with all this stuff? So I got a really, kind of every side of a marketing agency, and I learned a lot. But when it was time to kind of look for my next job, we did a lot of marketing for social causes and nonprofits. And so I started kind of looking to the clients that we were working with, and I was like, oh, these people all do really cool things.
Yeah.
And so I got my first social service job, I think in it might have been 2007 or something like that. 2010 maybe.
Okay.
No, it was before that. So I just got into a social service job and really loved it. I was like, oh, okay, this feels good. And I had these other experiences and knew what when it didn't work.
Yeah.
And so when I got into this like social work job, I was like, oh, this feels really good. So I
say more about
education.
that. I'm so curious of like what felt good about the social services piece.
Yeah, because I had no experience doing that except if you count being an eldest daughter in an immigrant family and like life experience. But
I feel like that counts for quite a bit. But that's just me.
Yeah, that wasn't what I had planned to do, but you know, I'm also a middle kid. I had an older brother, so I just got all the roles. Like, you're a family peacemaker, you're a problem solver. I want to say that I'm the like family comedian, but that's not true. My little sister is like the funniest person I know, so I'll give her that.
I was gonna say it's big of you to admit that because I know how hard that is as a sibling to like to give up the funny crown. It's tough.
I defer to her. It's like she's
got
the
it.
funniest person I know.
She's gonna own that lane.
She can have the jokes. I will have everything else. So. I'm not hating.
I've got
She'll
all
say
my things over here. I love that.
But yeah, I think it's just something about like getting into a position where I could really help people. That had always kind of come naturally to me. And we know it wasn't the like glamour of the job, and we know it wasn't the compensation. And
I was going to say, you sure it wasn't the attractive pay?
Yeah, definitely not. But you know, the mission and, you know, so many nonprofits will, that's mostly what they have to offer. So that's really what I got out of it. And when it was time for me to continue my education, I kind of was looking at graduate schools, and I looked a little bit at social work. I just looked around like education, and I landed on a master's in clinical psychology. And I was privately just kind of looking through these things like, I don't know what people are going to think. Let me just decide what I want first. And then when I figured that out, I was like, oh, wait, is this what my mom does? So my mom was a therapist, and people always ask, they're like, was she analyzing, you know, was she doing therapy on you? I was like, I don't know, man. I feel like all parents probably do some of that, like their own version of that.
Yeah. Whether their title is therapist or not, right?
Right. So let's not forget parents are usually doing some form of that. But no, she didn't. She really encouraged me to do what I wanted, hence the studying Latin in undergrad. Like, it goes to show, she was like, yeah, study whatever you want, just as long as you study.
Yeah.
Both my parents are like that. But she was so not pressuring me that like I didn't even realize that was the same thing she did until after I had figured it out. So sure, I'm sure maybe it did influence me a little bit. Like she raised me to be a caring, problem solving kind of person, but it felt like it sort of came out of my own experiences, and I got there on my own.
Yeah.
And
which I feel like that's such a different, like when you have the agency to choose, right? Versus something being thrust upon you. Feels very different. So I love that was your experience. So tell me about like, what was the impetus for prospect therapy?
You know, again, people think I'm making this up because I'm like, oh, I didn't realize until after, but it's true. We had a professor in graduate school who said, okay, you're going to go out into the world. What kind of clients do you want to do therapy with? And I was like, bro, I don't know how to do therapy. I don't know, like someone who wants help. And they're like, no, be more specific. So at the time we were like, what is this guy asking us to, like, we did not know.
Yeah.
And he kind of challenged us over and over. And I swear to you. So then, you know, I have my business, it's a few years in, and I remember that in graduate school, I stood up in front of my classmates and he was like, okay, Sarah, what kind of clients do you want? And I was like, well, I want to work with children of immigrants who are too scared to tell their parents they're gay. And that's literally what I do now, but it's so specific, right? Like, who says that? And everybody looked at me. And by the way, I had not come out at the time. I'm bisexual.
Yeah.
But I had not come out. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And so, right, everybody's like, I'm just a really strong ally. But I remember my classmates looking at me like, is there anything you want to tell us, Sarah? And I was like, what do you mean?
You're like, I'm good. That's the only thing
I'm
I
like,
needed to say today.
no, I just happen to really want to work with these people. Why? Oh my God, it's like so many people's experience, but I guess so that was sort of the impetus, but
Yeah.
the shorter answer is just, it was my own experience. I really love working with people with a bicultural background who feel, it's kind of popular and mainstream now, but when I started it at the time, people literally told me, they were like, yeah, but what do you want to do? Because you can't build a business around that. So do you want to work with trauma? And I was like, I mean, yeah, doesn't everybody do this? Like, these are the people I want to work with.
Yeah.
And obviously my own journey with my identity really, of course, would inform how I learn about relationships and how I learn how to do therapy. So
yeah,
I guess that would be the impetus for it.
Yeah. And you bringing that context and that background is so important. I think it's so interesting. Like, I want to jump back to you talking about your marketing experience, right? I think so much about in marketing and communications, they tell us that we have to niche down. We have to talk to our audience. We have to talk to our people. We have to find our people. We have to know our audience. We have to understand their pain points and all of that, right? And it's just fascinating to me that it was like you honed in on your people like that. And again, even when people told you like, that's not going to be a thing. It's not a thing. It's not, what are you doing? Right? It's like, that's actually, you are incredibly successful today.
Yeah, because I think I stuck to my guns because I wasn't really honing in on other people. I was honing in on what I knew best. And people can always tell that. They can always feel when you're pandering to them or just trying to convince them of something. And because I've had to be so brutally honest about so many things, which is another thing that therapists are not supposed to do. But, of course, I'm not putting all my freaking business out there, but I at least had to get honest about it with myself.
Yeah.
And because I'm coming to it from a really grounded place, I think that accounts for a big part of it. You know, therapy is such a intimate, trusting thing. You have to be very rock solid if you're going to invite other people in.
It's so good. And on that note, I think what's so interesting is there are some professions. I feel like there's actually quite a few of them where it feels like, we don't expect therapists to have trauma or need like care and mental health support of their own, perhaps. Like maybe, yes, we do, but probably a lot of our, opinions or perspectives are like, Sarah's good. Like Sarah's fine. Sarah's got it. Like she's not dealt with burnout. Like she's never had a mental health emergency and I think people's perception of my career as well, right? As a publicist, like, my job is oftentimes like be the person wearing black on the red carpet, amplify other voices. I can't have problems, right? The people that I work with can have problems, but I can't have the problems and I can't be the one needing help. And, I obviously have shared on this podcast of my own experience of having a mental health emergency and what it's looked like, to be honest about that, to navigate that, to like actually bring some of that into my work. And I'm so curious. I'm imagining the answer is probably yes, but I'm so curious of like what your experience has been with your own mental health journey as you've helped support others with theirs.
Oh, yes. The answer is yes. I absolutely think that, the first thing you have to do is be human. So I don't know about other people, but for me, I trust somebody more when the more human they are. And it's not that, oh, I don't have problems or I have all the answers. It's more that those things happen to me and I have figured out how to deal with them for me. And it's more that those things happened and I'm not scared of them anymore. When someone comes to you, they are probably worried, like, what is this going to be? Can this person help me? Am I going to feel better? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And you need someone with you first who's just not scared
Yeah.
to go there with you.
Yeah.
Whether I know the specific thing you need or
Yeah.
that's almost secondary. So in my own experience, I've had in my own experience, I've had a lot of grief in my life. My mom passed away in 2013. After that, I had a really prolonged depressive phase. I stopped doing therapy at that time. I was like, luckily I knew that I was not in a place to do that. And I'm in a position where I could do other types of work at my job.
Yeah.
And so I would say since then, I've really had depressive symptoms or depressive episodes on and off. I can tell when it's coming up now. And growing up, I had some pretty traumatic experiences.
Yeah.
So those are all just kind of part of my story. But I think what was really present for me is, you mentioned burnout. And a few years ago, I was also going through my divorce, which was a very long, slow, it wasn't like a very dramatic, awful kind of experience. It was just more like, oh my gosh, can we revive this thing? What is going on?
Yeah. Long and painful.
Yes. Long and painful. And the kind of pain that kind of sneaks up on you. So it's almost like you don't even realize what's happening. And at the same time, my business was completely taking off. I actually started a second business. I was writing a book. I don't know what I was thinking, writing a book. And then I was planning international retreats and I was running groups and I was teaching classes and I was running 2 businesses. I was supervising people. And, I tell that story and I'm like, well, coincidentally, this was happening at the same time. And I'm like, was it a coincidence or was I really avoiding something and just throwing myself into my work? I remember this was actually a few years ago now. This was after all of that. I had to get something off of my old computer. So I found the power cord and I turned it on. I was like, oh, there's this one document. I think it was on my desktop or something. And I opened my laptop and my desktop was covered with documents and all this stuff was on there and I burst into tears. I was like, Sarah, what were you going through? I was working so much to try to avoid something, cover something up, or I was like, no, everything's fine because look how much money I'm making, Yeah. But I just saw what I was going through and I was like, let me just find this document and close this. I should go talk to my therapist about this. That really brought it home for me. But of course, that was years afterward. That was when we're going through it, we don't always recognize it at the time.
Yeah. And I think I'm so glad that you shared that because one, I think it's for folks listening right now, I think that's incredibly relatable of, like I know that, in your experience and also in mine, mine was filled with, I would call them distractions as well, right? I just thought that I could just produce and try my way through it and push my way through it and and stuff down and numb and not look at it and not deal with it. And it's the result of that was I love this visual of it's almost like you had a million tabs open, right? And I'm sure that a lot of those things, I'm making a big assumption here, but I'm sure a lot of them were probably started and half baked, but not finished, right? And so I think that is so relatable for so many of our listeners. I don't think that we always know that when we see that to recognize that as something is happening here. This is a caution light. This is a red light, maybe even blinking our bodies. This is something that they're trying to tell us. Right. And so it's, I think a lot of times we'll default to I can't believe that I didn't finish that thing again. And we're so hard on ourselves. Right. And so it's we end up directing all of that pain almost back at ourselves. And I'm so curious too of what are some of the other things that you started recognizing when I call it it's that really slippery slope. Right. And it's what are some of the things that you were yep, that was a tell. Yup, that was that was, now looking back, like this, that was a pretty good clue, because I think it'll help folks who are listening go, wait, hold on. Like, let me pause. Is any of, like, can I see myself in any of this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And as you're talking, I'm thinking about how you and I both say this, like, you know, you hear mental health and there's certain images and things that come to your mind. And we're like, okay, well, I'm not doing that, so I must be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, oh, I'm not crying every day, or I'm not, whatever it is. Like there's
Yeah.
these stereotypical images that we're like, well, as long as that's not happening, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And I want to remind people, I think the main kind of yellow flag or telltale thing to watch out for is anytime something is out of the ordinary and it happens more than once. Anybody can have a fluke, but if you notice it in yourself, if other people are noticing it, or if you notice it about your loved ones, you're like, that's not like them. Even if it is something positive, because, I was doing great.
Yeah.
And, I was like going to the gym. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm living my best life. I know I miss those days because I was like in really good shape, but
and also, to be clear, we're not saying that if you go to the gym that you're having a mental health emergency. I think, again, it's so helpful of Sara is sharing about what behaviors, what activities, right, were different for you, and like what would be out of the norm.
Yeah, I mean, all of this is in context, but I think for me, I was very social. I was like never home. And that's
during that time, or?
Yes.
Okay.
And people would say like, oh, well, that's a great thing. Like you should have a social life. But I think I went like months. This was pre-pandemic. I went months without ever like going to the grocery store. I was like not investing in my home environment. And I was like, well, I have a work thing. Oh, I'm going on this girls trip. Oh, I'm doing all this stuff. And again, it was all positive things. But what the telltale sign for me was that things were out of balance.
Yeah.
And that was something I was used to.
Yeah.
But similarly, if you notice, honestly, anything that you might be like overdoing, or if you notice someone else is overdoing or underdoing, hey, like we always have these dinners with our friends, and one of the best parts is we get dressed up and we go out, and like, hey friend, I noticed like you're not having as much fun dressing up. You're not having as much, you're not staying out as late, or you missed the last few ones. So those are kind of subtle things. Yeah. But I think the key is to notice and then to bring it up in a way where, we're not teasing, we're not being upset. We're like, what the heck? You didn't want to, like, we all need to go out or whatever. Instead, being that person so that, because they might not notice it either. Yeah. Or they may not be ready to bring it up, so that if and when they are, that door with you is open, and they're not like, oh, well, I know I can't talk to Sara about this because she was all mad at me last time. So you just want to keep that door open.
That's such and again, I know that there are so many people who are listening who are like, maybe I've noticed this about my family member, or I've noticed this about a friend, or someone has actually noticed something about me, and the way that it was phrased or asked, or the way that I was approached, like, caused me to be defensive. And so I love that even as you're talking about this, that you're sort of sharing of like, I don't know, there's almost a little bit of like noticing the thing and then posing the question next. So it's almost like, hey, I noticed you haven't been at dinner lately. How's everything going? Right? Like, I just, it's so, that feels so different than, you haven't been at dinner lately. What's going on with you? What's happening?
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to stop inviting her because she
never shows up to anything.
Oh, she's mad at me? That's fine. I mean, I'm exaggerating.
Right.
Stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
Or like, even when somebody is, people get really busy with their families or their kids, and there's so many times that people feel isolated and iced out by their community. And like, gosh, when you said it, it really does sound like a therapist. Like, I've noticed this. I'm wondering about it. It's like so annoying. I don't talk like that in session. I sound more like a therapist in my regular life than I do actually in session. I feel like that's probably true, but I don't know. But it's true. You use your own language. You do it in your own way. But the point is exactly that. Like, I'm just wondering, and
Yeah.
not mad about it. I'm just here if that is something, and even if it takes a long time.
Yeah.
And how honored do you feel? I feel when people are like, you said that to me like 6 months ago, and I didn't stop thinking about it, and I made these changes, or you were right, or something.
Yeah.
And it brings you closer to people too.
Yeah. I just think it's so helpful. And I know that people that were close to me, that we've had conversations since my hospitalization around like, oh, Kristen, like I saw this and I didn't say anything. Like, and I'm like kicking myself that I didn't say something, or I wish that I would have like, I noticed this and that kind of worried me. And, and I think there's so much of that journey for myself that I go like, hey, I own this, and I own I own my side of the street. And also I totally want people who are close to me, my family, my friends, even there were some clients that I was close to be able to come to me and go, hey, I noticed this, checking in. Right. It's, I think a lot of times we feel like we shouldn't say something, or we're scared of saying something by how it might be received. And so I so appreciate you bringing this up. And it brings me to another question, which is, I think so much about, for again, some of us who are in these professions where we feel like, I don't know. I don't want to say that like we're having to like, we have to have some sort of separate persona, but it does feel like there's a lot of like intentionality and a lot of strategy, so to speak, that goes into like, well, what can be shared, what can't be shared, right? Whether it's by like HIPAA or it's hey, the type of like, we have a very confidential relationship and whatnot. And so I think sometimes that profession can be isolating of, well, who can I talk to about the real stuff? So I'm like so curious of what your community and what your sort of like circle of trust, and I call it like the sounding board, like who are those people for you? Do you have that? What does that look like? How has that sort of like evolved over the years? And, and like part B to that is, how has that, have you noticed that being helpful, harmful? Like what does that look like for you?
Oh yeah. I mean, any therapist will tell you, hopefully, that they really rely on having a place to also process their own. I have my own personal therapist as well, but I also have other licensed therapists who I can process like, oh, I don't know if I'm doing this right, or I don't know if my own stuff is coming up here. And it's not my colleague's job to like give me therapy or to be like, you're doing a great job, Sarah, keep it up. But more so to help, to be a safe place to explore and just check, because you don't, what is really unethical and really kind of scary is when people are like, well, no, I know what I'm doing. Like I've done this before, and I know what's going to happen. And, like I'm good. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you probably are, but like, did you check? Like, just to make sure. And so I do have kind of my professional people. I have my own therapist. And luckily I also have like loved ones and family and people in my life who I don't talk about work at all. And I can talk about everything else to make sure that I'm feeling that balance and feeling grounded.
We love a helicopter. We're here. But see, this is part of being human. Like the helicopters will helicopter. Like, let's just...
You know what? Just scrap this whole thing. We have to start over because like one sound was made. Excuse me. It's not good enough. But yeah, I think
this is the humanity that we're wanting a little bit more of in the world right now, right?
You know what? Oh my gosh, that totally made me forget what I was going to say. What was I going to say?
on having your own therapist, also having your own, like, you have your own friend community that you don't talk about work with, you said.
Yeah. You know what I was going through at that time? My whole life was work because everything else
Mm,
was, I was not investing in it. It was stressing me out. It was causing
yeah.
me pain. It was not working. And that's why I do think it is important to have a place where I'm not a therapist and
Mm,
I can balance all the other parts of my life. But that, what I was going to say is, people think you go to therapist school to
mm,
learn how to care for people and how to help them. And you actually, life teaches you that. Every therapist is like, yeah, I
mm,
went to therapy because I needed it, or someone in my life needed it and didn't get
yeah.
it, or something. Um,
Mm,
but what you actually learn is how to actually pull that back. School
mm,
teaches you how to compartmentalize that so you're not putting your own stuff on people.
yeah.
You can strategically use it if it's helpful. Obviously, the kind of people I work with, I have so much in common with. But what you learn to do is to actually pull back your own stuff. You learn how to
Mm,
make sure that, of course, we have empathy and we care. Like, we're going to care no matter what, but you make sure you're not overly putting your own agenda or
yeah.
opinions or wishes on the client. So the way I conceptualize it is, I didn't actually learn how to help people. I actually learned how to make sure I'm not overdoing it.
Mm, mm. Man, a lot of us could stand to learn from that.
Yeah, I think I'm at like five, maybe six of my clients who are like, "Oh, I'm going to therapy school now." It's my own
They're like,
personal like,
I'm going so I can learn how to do exactly what you just said.
yeah. It makes me really proud. I don't know if it's like a good thing or a bad thing, but I love it.
And we're here for it. That that makes me wonder. So, obviously you're a business owner. You're an entrepreneur. And I'm really curious because I know that, like, in the entrepreneur space that we hear a lot about it, like, business is going to reveal some stuff. Like, if you have things that you have not dealt with, looked at, it's going to reveal some things. And so, as you've talked about going to, I like love this image of therapist school. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, it's so fun to think of. It sounds
It's
cute.
not as
It
cute as
sounds
whatever
cute. I
you're
know it's
thinking of.
not, but I'm like, therapist
It
school
was
sounds really
Tuesday and
nice.
Thursday nights, Kristen, and it was long days.
So it's not cute. And I love that, like, you learned how to not bring your own stuff to the space. I'm curious, like, how is that translated across business for you? Like, what does that look like for you as a business owner and entrepreneur?
That is such a good question because you know what? It didn't teach me anything about that. I bring my own stuff to business all the time. Business is so personal. Business, whatever people think about therapy, that's what I feel about business. Business will just
Mm,
take your heart out of your body and be like, squeeze it and be like, okay, you don't need this. And business will be like, oh, you thought you were cool? Guess what? Nobody thinks you're cool. Oh, did you like, business will put you through it. And oh my God, don't even talk about having employees who I love.
uh,
I love my employees. But frankly, I'm not even like fully reconciled with the idea of having employees because you're like, the way capitalism is set up, it's like you can
mm-hmm.
try to be the least exploitative and you can try to be, but the structure of it is you are making money off of these people's labor. And I'm like, ooh, I don't know.
How you,
I'm trying to
yeah,
make it,
yes,
yeah.
yes,
But even aside from that, like, people talk about like your own relationship with your boss and then people's relationship with you as a boss is very like parental or something. But for me, it was very sibling coded. And like,
mm,
I just felt that feeling of like, well, I want to make sure I'm doing everything right. And like, why are people mad at me? And like, okay,
mm.
well, here, maybe if I overgive in this way, then like I'll belong. And I was like, whoa, like, of course I'm exaggerating, like,
Right,
these are
of
like
course,
stressful
yeah,
moments.
yeah,
Luckily it's not like that day to day. But
yeah,
when you're trying to make a decision to make everybody happy and you can't do it, it brings up the like, oh my gosh, am I good
yeah,
enough? Do people like, do I belong here? Like, oh my God, did I hurt somebody's feelings? Like,
yeah.
it is super different from being a therapist. And I'll tell you, I was about to say, I was like, I don't know anything about it, but actually, I feel like I know so much about it now that I've been doing this for 8 years. But
Yeah.
it is a crucible, girl. I'm telling you. So, entrepreneurs have my utmost respect.
Yeah. I feel
Small
that.
business owners with a team. I mean, you just look and you're like, yeah, this will teach you. This will reveal things about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And gosh, there's so much there.
Okay, come back for part 2 or whatever.
We're going to have a whole separate conversation about that because I'm like, yes, we have to have like a whole episode on all the things that being a business owner has taught you about yourself that you weren't expecting. Right?
Oh, yes. We're going to have to bleep out most of it, but yes. We should have that.
It's so hard. It's so hard. I'm really curious. I'm imagining that you've dealt with business burnout. And I think I think about the business burnout that I've experienced, and I'm not a therapist. And I'm curious of like, did you ever have moments where you were like experiencing business burnout and the therapist in you is like, I think we should do this. I think you might need this. But the business owner, like the human inside of you is like, we're good. Like, we're good. We're okay. We don't need those things. Like because it's, to me, I'm like, there's like this duality, right? And so I just think it's so, I'm curious, like what that experience has been like for you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think in general, those two feel like there is some overlap. Like
Yeah.
I try to
Yeah.
obviously inform one side with the
Yeah.
other, but there are just some undeniable things that you can't do as a business owner and as a therapist. And there are times when, you know, those will be at odds, literally just because of capitalism and
Yeah.
patriarchy. Patriarchy is hierarchy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you own a business, there has to be hierarchy.
Yeah.
Well, when you own the kind of business that I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And so there are just some things that are going to be incompatible. And that's still something that I haven't, like I said, I haven't landed on anything yet.
Yeah.
Other than, I guess I'm doing it for now. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Because whenever I question it, then I'm like, okay, but this is a really great place. You know, I'm creating great jobs and
Yeah.
it is a very unique place to work. So
Yeah.
we can have a whole other episode on that.
Well, look, I recently came across another model from a client who is actually employee owned. And I didn't know much about employee ownership. And now that I have swam in the employee ownership waters, I'm like, what? Like, it's absolutely fascinating. So we'll have a whole separate conversation about these things. But I think
or if you have that conversation, I'll listen to it because I want to know about it too.
it's so fascinating. And I feel like as business owners who care about, like, the podcast is called Just and Joyful for a reason, right? It's like, to me, that is like the umbrella. It's like the banner in which I try to move through not just my life, but also through business. Like, all of my decisions in business have been made around the idea of, is it just and joyful? Now, I can't say obviously that I do that well or perfectly every time. I think that if maybe I had done that well, I probably wouldn't have ended up burned out and having a mental health emergency. But that's neither here nor there. And I'm grateful for that experience. But I think there's models that you and I have not been presented. And I think there's a lot of strategy that goes into what's obviously being amplified and what's being shared with us in terms of, like exit strategies that are actually just and joyful, exit strategies that do actually look like, that embody some of the values and things that I know that you and I both share. So again, whole separate conversation about this. I feel like you and I will also have to talk offline about these things, and too bad, listeners, you can't come along for that journey right now, but we will make it public at some point. So Sara, as we are getting ready to wrap up, I've got a couple of more questions for you. One of the things that I know you do a lot of work around compassion fatigue. And I feel like we've heard that, a lot more during early days of COVID, of talking about compassion fatigue, specifically like frontline healthcare workers. And I feel like we hear a little bit less of that. And yet it's still prevalent. Like, it never went away. It never stopped being something that people needed support with. And I know that that's something too, that it also feels like people who are, again, in healthcare roles, behavioral healthcare therapists, right? That it's so important to have that type of support. I'm curious, like, how compassion fatigue might play out for everyday individuals too, because I'm sure, again, you see this all throughout your work.
I have some strong feelings about that, Kristen, because
Please share your strong feelings. We want to hear those strong feelings.
Compassion fatigue, vicarious trauma, those are terms related to professionals who are supporting people, and we are exposed to trauma. So, it's that secondary response to somebody's experience.
Mm-hmm.
It actually does not apply to the day-to-day person. Mm-hmm. And my opinion, because I think people are just using that term to kind of cop out of activism or caring or aligning with their values. And it's the same way when people were like, joy is resistance. And I'm like, okay, but you're not doing any resistance.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's just a way of saying like, well, I'm allowed because for whatever.
It's still bypassing.
Reasons.
Yeah, it's still like.
Yes.
Yes.
And so sometimes people are saying, well, I'm experiencing compassion fatigue. And I'm like, well, I have a different description for what you're experiencing. I don't think it's that. I don't think you are like routinely, systematically being exposed to people and supporting them through whatever traumas or difficulties they're going through. Mm-hmm. Maybe you are, but I'm guessing that what you're complaining about is like your social media feed is stressing you out. That is not compassion fatigue. Yeah. So it's similar probably to burnout.
I appreciate you saying that too, because again, I think like there's so many different terms, phrases, all of that sort of stuff that are being co-opted in different spaces and whatnot. And I love this clarity. I love this, like, this is how we utilize this, right? And we're talking about something completely different because, again, I do think it is very real to feel fatigue while you are scrolling and seeing like someone's working out and here's what their perfectly smooth forehead looks like from doing this specific thing. And then next image is war. And then next image is, someone with an outfit of the day. And the next image is rights being rolled back, right? So it's like, yes, that is very real. And it's not compassion fatigue. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about the work that you've been doing around compassion fatigue with individuals who care for a number of different communities.
Yeah, that has been coming up a lot, both in my individual therapy work, but also, obviously my whole team is noticing that. But we actually have been doing kind of group workshops, and we've been going into organizations, nonprofit organizations that some of us actually similar to where we used to work, where the social workers, the case managers, the front desk people who do services over the phone, like, all these resource centers, a lot of these immigrant resource centers right now are saying like, hey, families are calling us, the phone is ringing nonstop, and we have such limited means to help them. And it's really hard to give bad news on the phone all the time. And those are the people they're taking it home with them. They're like feeling hopeless about the future. There's real implications for people's mental health because they're exposed to this all day, every day. And because there's this element of we're a drop in the bucket and I'm going to do what I can do, but the system is really working against us.
Yeah.
And so
in the background, they're hearing things like joy is resistance.
Right. And then in the background, they're hearing like, ugh, I just can't hear about one more thing. And I'm like, okay. So we go in and we do these workshops with these teams. Sometimes their managers are there and sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
And it's really helpful just to understand the burnout cycle, to understand where they're at in that cycle, to just put some structure to it. You cannot deep breathe your way out of oppression. You cannot regulate your nervous system in the face of genocide and these things that are going on.
Right.
But it does help with the kind of floundering feeling and the feeling of powerlessness and the I don't know where I fit in here or what am I supposed to do. And I don't understand what's going on with me internally because I might be over functioning at home or I might be taking a bunch of sick days.
Yeah.
So we really educate people about that model, and people come up with their own. I'm not going to tell somebody to ground and relax the way I do or the way somebody else does. You tell somebody to read a good book and they're like, please, like, you don't know what you're talking about. And so we coach people to make their own sort of resistance plans for those.
I just love that so much. And I know that we have healthcare providers and caregivers that listen to this podcast. And so I think it's always so important to remind listeners that the caregivers need care too. And just like the therapists need therapy too, right? And I don't want to say the publicists need publicity too, but that's not it. It's like we need the care as well. We need the help as well. And so I'm so grateful for the work that you do, Sara. You're just such a wonderful gem of a human.
You know what, Kristen? I'm grateful for the work that I do too.
See that, and also like we need more modeling of that. Like it's okay to sit in that. There's so many of us that would be like, oh, like no, thank you so much. Oh, right?
I mean, I love it. I'm really lucky, and I feel so lucky to get to do the work I do every day. So, and there's a lot of value in it. It's hard work, and I love doing it.
Well, the world is a better place because you are. So, as we wrap up, I've got a couple just like quick rapid fire questions that we always ask our guests.
Okay.
So
I'm ready.
I know we just mentioned books. I don't know. Maybe you're reading, maybe you're not reading right now, but like what TV shows or books are you obsessed with right now? Or podcasts?
Oh my gosh. I'm very surprised. Don't be mad, but A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms turned out to be like so cute. I was like, I'm not watching this. I'm so over Game of Thrones, whatever, but it has surprised me and I'm obsessed with it and I love it.
Okay. We're here for it. I'll have to add it to my watch list.
And this book, I'm actually going to share this book too. It's called I Always Knew, a memoir by Barbara Chase Reboot. This is an incredible artist who, upon her mother's passing, went to her mom's house and found all the letters that she had written to her mom. And so when she's 19 going to Europe for the first time to learn for this art program. Yeah. When she's getting married, when she's moving to New York, and it's her own life through what she thought was important to share with her mom as an artist. And this is right up my alley. As someone who loves art and like loves my mom relationship and like family relation and grief, I was like, okay. So I'm making my way slowly through that.
Okay, we'll have to add that one to our reading list too. What's your go-to tool, resource, like move when you're feeling overstimulated?
Oh my gosh. I need a dark, quiet room and I need my cat to come step on my head and body. I just need like cat cuddles and I need like...
Darkness and cat cuddles.
And quiet, yes.
Darkness, quiet,
works
cat
like
cuddles.
A charm.
I love it. Who is a justice champion or advocate that you're always hitting repost on?
Oh my God, Kristen. There's this woman on Instagram, Nikki Black.
Okay.
Nikkiblak.
Shout out Nikki Black.
I don't know if she even knows who I am, but I like.
We hope after this episode she does.
Yes. She is so smart to me. Every one of her posts is like, oh my gosh, she's an educator. I think she's an artist. She's an activist and she's a coach. And she actually coaches a lot of white women on how to be anti-racist. I can say a lot about it. But so each one of her posts, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, let us get up, Nikki. Like, this is so spot on. And she just has so much to say. And I learned from her so much. And she's an icon.
I love that you're like, sort of response, because it's like, that's so relatable. We've definitely had those folks that we've like come across. I've definitely come across those posts too. Or I'm like, like,
this, like, can people see me right now? This is so accurate. So
yes.
It's great.
Last question. What's something that's bringing you joy right now?
Are you gonna be mad if I just say this? I'm so happy to talk to you, Kristen. I'm so happy to like talk about my work and this topic and to connect with you. And we have great conversations anyway. And I was like, we need to be
always
recording these. So
we have always said that we should, we're like, we should have hit record on that conversation. Basically, I feel like I just launched the podcast because I just needed to be able to hit record in all of the juicy conversations that we have, that I get to have with so many folks. And what a treat. What a treat.
Although some of them, it's probably good that there's no record on
them. I can neither confirm nor deny.
You were saying that. I was like, okay, I mean, some of them though, it's probably good.
It's this face. We just gonna let the face say it all.
That's a sister face. That's when we're like, okay, no one can see the group chat.
That's it exactly. Well, Sara, thank you so much for joining us today. And we're just so thankful for you and the work that you're doing. You can learn more about Sara and her work at prospecttherapy.com or on Instagram at prospecttherapy. Thanks, Sara.
Thanks for having me.
The Just and Joyful podcast is your host, creator, and executive producer, Kristen Carver-Smith, executive producer, Angelina Burkholder, and production engineer, Joshua James. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.